Hello and welcome to Guitarist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.guitarist.com. My name is Jason JROCK Houston, and I want to welcome to the show Kelly Deco, the lead singer from the Kelly Deco band. How are you doing today, Kelly?
I'm doing great. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. And if you like the way the interview goes, I hope we can do it again down the line. I got to tell you, Kelly, I don't know if it's just from the time you grew up, but I was listening to your latest single, which is for the song Automatic Girl, and I tell you, it takes me back to like when I was growing up in the 70s, the great music we had from that time. From what I gather, you're kind of influenced by music from that time. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That was the intention, and that's why we were lucky when we found Val Garay, the producer, who makes that wonderful sound, and he pulled the whole thing together and gave us that lovely sound, and we're lucky. So yeah, thank you for saying that. I think it's great.
I mean, I was reading that your influences are like 70s type music, David Bowie, and I think kind of sounds right in there. A lot of times bands these days want to sound modern, and they don't want to sound nothing like what came before. And I tell you, that's some of my favorite music comes from the 70s. So I think you're going to fit in real well when people hear your new album.
That's great. I certainly hope so. It's one of those things. You have influences, and you really are inspired, and you really love certain artists, and you really, feel the things that they seem to espouse, and they seem to be a part of their whole genre and generation, and then sooner or later they're gone, and then it's just you. So you're thinking, okay, I'm here now. Let's turn it up and pull up the influences, and then it's honest at that point. So that's the lucky part, is that I've been around long enough to grow all that. So
yeah, I think it makes sense, because I think if for say a producer or somebody at the record label came up to you and said, Kelly, this is great sound of music, but it sounds like stuff that came out of the 70s. Why don't you try to be more modern sounding? It would not come off as authentic, if you know what I mean, because it'd be kind of forced, and it's not really what you're into.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly what I wanted to do. And in the electronic press kit, I think even there's two producers I work with, and I'd worked with one for quite a few years, and I didn't even know he was working with Val Garay, and I said, hey, I really want to get that 70s sound, that that early Ronstadt, I just thought it was so kind of clear but rough, but just right there in your face. And he goes, well, Val Garay invented that sound. And I thought, okay, well, let's do that then. So we were lucky enough to do that.
And tell us a little bit about you, Kelly. I mean, to be honest, until your publicist Chip had sent me the press release on you, I never heard of you. And like I said, I've heard the one song, and the one song I think is so good that I can't wait to get the rest. It's like I've just heard the one song, but I want to hear the rest of the album, if you know what I mean. I think it's that good.
Well, thank you for saying that. I've been writing music and pretending to be in a rock and roll band since I was a kid, about 5 or 6 years old, and then I started doing it, and it's been a lifetime. Making music, and I had some good luck. I've had a pretty popular video called No Reality in the early 90s. The video director was a pretty famous, and so we got a lot of attention for that, and so as things go down the road, you try different things, and then you realize, what do I really like?
Yeah.
So this whole record was written with me on an acoustic guitar, doing pretty much two-string melody type songs like Bacharach would do, and then I would run them down with the piano player, who is a classical piano guy in the band, and I've known him for 40 years, and so that kind of just made the whole thing fit right into the 70s. It was melodic but rock, and then when we brought it up to Val, he's like, this is something I'd be interested in, and so that was, those 1, 2, 3, they came together like that, and then, he really delivered Valkyrie is an amazing man when it comes down to that sound. And there are some secret things that he does, that I would have never thought that he does to make sure he gets that sound, including bringing all of his own instruments and modules for the mixing board. And he brings things in, and you would think that nobody would do that, but that's where the guarantee of this guy's going to get that sound, because he's captured it. He's got it, in a little place, and he just brings that thing out when he wants, I guess, or when it fits. And with these songs and the style of how it was made, it was very much Andrew Gold style, the piano and the guitar. And I know you don't hear that much as much in the mix, because it became, the rock really came out of it, and we're really lucky to have a great guitar player who played the tracks. And I write the songs. I do play the guitar, but on the guitar on the album I play the acoustic guitar, and that's kind of my bag. It's kind of a I'm doing the
Well, you kind of got the singer-songwriter thing going for you, and I think a lot of people start out writing songs on acoustic guitar, and just kind of get the song kind of created, and by the time you brought in these other musicians and the singer into the project, were the songs all written, or did you collaborate with anybody on the songs?
No, here's the thing. The answer is no. I wrote all the songs. I wrote all of the music. It was kind of a test to see if I could
do it, yeah.
I thought, let's see if we can do this, keep doing this now, and so I wrote one, and then I wrote one a week or every 2 days, consecutively, just the music, and then I would drive them over to again the piano. He plays it's a grand piano, so I don't know how you say that. And I'd run it down with him until I thought, okay, that's it, and that was it. We just recorded it on a little iPad or little thing, and that was it. We just put it away and do the next one. We kept one song at a time, and like I said, I wrote them all and then just ran them together. And then I had the whole record. Actually, I had more. I had like 30 songs.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be too many for a record.
Yeah. Well, there's always, the next album. And after having the hit in the 90s you were talking a little bit about, I'm assuming like a lot of musicians at that time, maybe after you had the hit, all the grunge music started becoming popular. Is that kind of why you went away for a while?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of reasons, and that would be one, but also, I work in the film industry as well, so so I work as a scenic artist and a designer for sets of movies, and so it's a back and forth thing, and you make a point of choice at a point.
You got to make it a living.
I think I just got married, and I had a child, and I raised it.
Oh, there you go. That answers that.
And I thought, okay, let's see if there's anything left in the gun. And then, sure enough, there was a lot left, and by then I'd really known how to write. How to make it all just go. It just flows out. You're not pushing or trying or trying to conjecture yourself into making a song. It comes out, and then there's your song, bam. And then I was like, okay, now, what are these songs going to be about? And that was a whole different thing. I wanted to make them something outside of the normal world, but also I have a lot of experience in life now, and I've gone through a few
things,
close friend deaths and friends, and things like that really get you. They really, you become, it's almost like you wish you hadn't gone through it, but that really opens up a depth of understanding and a depth of where, when I wrote these songs, when I was even first talking with Chip, I couldn't help but break down because it was so personal. I thought, well, that's really silly. But then I realized, well, that's what people say, when you get to the point where it's that personal, it kind of hurts in a weird way.
Sure.
You would think that's silly. Why would
it's
why
actual.
would Automatic Girl do that to anybody? Or why would, there's a bunch of other songs of course on the album. and like Valgaray said, you know, they're all interesting in their own way. They really are, and they are interesting songs about interesting things. And like I say in the bio, I'm looking for kind of a, oh boy, it's like a new retro thing, you know, way back, vintage, but modern again. So not quite steampunk, but a little more spacey than that. And so I'm rambling on and on. But the thing is, obviously, I really am lucky that this record was made. Yeah. And it's a good record about interesting things. And that Valgaray came in and made it sound really good. So we started with good ideas and good songs, and then we had good sound, and now we have good people behind it, including Chip. At Chipster PR. And, you know, we had Johannes, who designed the layout for the LP. You know, he's a legend in his own.
Sure.
You know, he's done so many album covers for everybody, Led Zeppelin, you know, all the bands of Boston, of course, the Allman Brothers. I mean, all the 70s icons. A lot of those records were done by Johannes, and so it was really great to bump into him and have him kind of give, you know, give a place for it, kind of grounded it, like here's what it looks like, here's what it sounds like, you know, here it is. And that was really lucky.
Yeah, well,
so no matter what happens with the record, I'm glad it's there, and I think people will like it. I think it's going to be interesting.
It's kind of a way to look at your statement of what life in 2022 is like right now. And I got to tell people listening to this, you know, you mentioned Chip from your publicist from Chipster PR, and I got to tell you, personally, Kelly, I've been working with that guy since 2007 when I first started doing these interviews, and he's given me a lot of great interviews over the years. And so anytime Chip's got a new artist he's working with, I say, yeah, you know, of course, Chip, I'll check out anything you're involved with. And we should let people know you share the same publicist as a couple of big legendary names such as Michael Schenker, Judas Priest. So again, I think you're in good company, and that kind of says all that anybody needs to know. That a guy that works with those kind of bands getting involved with the Kelly Deco band, okay, it's worth giving it a listen, I think, you know.
Absolutely, it's amazing, and like he's an amazing man, and we've been really lucky with all of the people involved with this, and it's just, you know, I'm really glad, and they're all really great people too. Really, just as people, they're just wonderful.
Oh, sure.
So yeah,
I love it.
Great guy. Yeah, everyone get out there, listen to it.
Yeah, and what I love about those people you work with at Chipster, I mean, they're really great at getting behind their artists and promoting the hell out of them. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are signed to Deco Records, is that correct?
Yes.
And another great little label. I know it kind of goes hand in hand with Chipster there, but I mean, they got artists on that label such as Carmine Appice, Joe and Albert Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult, of course. You know, you guys and Union featuring Karabi and Bruce Kulick. So they got a lot of great bands on that roster, and that's another thing I think. They are great too at promoting the hell out of their bands.
Well, you know, anyone's lucky that's got anything going. And
if you got a record label at all these days, I mean, that's something right there, right?
I would say, yeah, anyone who's willing to listen, please listen.
Yeah, and you know,
I think that all of that comes down to spin it out there in front of everybody and have them call us all back, and you know, and then we'll know, right? How good it is.
And you know, Kelly, you mentioned about some of these songs that you wrote for the album. You know, kind of listening back to them for the first time, how emotional you got, and how they really touched you. And I think that right there says, because it sounds like you're a guy that writes from personal life, things you personally go through. And I can tell you, as a fan of music, I love songs, you know, like Rod Stewart, the Eagles. I mean, you know, Tom Petty. They're great storytellers. You know, I listen to hard rock bands too, but those are like my favorite songwriters, guys that can really tell a story. You know, even like a band like Motley Crue. I mean, Nikki Sixx is one of the greatest songwriters, or even better example, Pete Townsend from The Who. You know, when you realize that Roger Daltrey's kind of just the voice, he's not the guy that wrote all the songs, but you realize when a guy has that ability to write songs like that really move people, really touch their lives, I think, too, people are maybe going to react to your songs maybe the same way you do, maybe for different reasons, because it's all about interpretation. You may have people listen to this record when it comes out and tell you, no, Kelly, I listened to this song and it really touched me. It reminded me of my mother or father died. And you might say, that's not what it's even about, but great. You know, if it touched you that way, great.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very real thing, because when the emotion is in there, maybe it sparks each person differently, but it's still in there, and there's something that's kind of magical about that when that happens, and it's an interesting thing, and it still hits me, and it's not something you're intentionally trying to do, but when it happens, it's kind of embarrassing. Just like, well, what am I doing? I feel like, you know, this song is hitting me this way, but it just shows you're human, and there's a thing, a magic built into music that can do that to people, and I love that.
I gotta tell you from my own life experience. I mean, I've experienced that with like even watching something on TV or going to the movies and a song plays, or maybe you know, a sad scene in the movie, and I just break out in tears. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but that tells you how emotional the scene or the song is, and if you can touch like just one person. You know, think of how much that song means to somebody.
I totally agree, and it's interesting that works, and it's a real thing. There's no explaining.
Yeah. You there, Kelly?
Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing that when that happens, and people are just really lucky that any artist can do that, and if somehow I get into that category, that'll be a miracle.
And probably working in the film industry, you see that too. Like once the film comes out, and you see people maybe even yourself sitting in the audience watching the film for the first time, and I worked on this film, and that scene was really emotional. That really touched me. And have you ever had the experience of like having one of your songs in one of the films you worked on?
You know, but let me tell you one thing though. Years and years and years ago, I worked on a film called Runaway Train, and when I saw the scene when John Voight is in there with Eric Roberts, and they're talking about killing each other and stuff, and I thought that was so real. I couldn't believe it. And I was sitting there right there next to them when they were filming it. But when I saw it in the film, I was like, oh my God, just really very striking. And I worked with Robert Altman. I've worked with a lot of really, really well-known directors, and I've learned a lot about how they work and how it's about touching people. And it's about, you can't contrive things. You just either got to be there or not. And so that's a whole different school, like you said, about I'm not trying to make a rock record. I just made the record, and it was it's 70s, and it was always gonna be 70s. And if people like it, that's just lucky. And the fact that I hired the people who are the experts of the 70s, that's by chance too. It's not like it's a chance work in their own way because you're there and you're gonna be there for someone to reach out to touch you. But it wasn't like
you planned it.
I mean, I knew what I wanted. Kind of it opened up, and things lined up, and next thing you know, and you're just getting into.
Yeah, I kind of think it's a matter of time being right and everything lining up just the way it should for you. How much of this, did you start writing the album? Because like a lot of people during the lockdown, you had nothing to do and thought, well, hey, why don't I try writing some songs and seeing what comes out?
I'll say that what happened was this. I was going to do that. I was going to write because I knew this is what I'm going to do now to see if I could just keep it going. And then I'd gone through quite a few things personally, so I had a different feeling inside, a little more tender, which was kind of a little nerve-wracking. Yeah. But all the rest was just coincidence. Wow. COVID, maybe coincidence because maybe Valkyrie would have had someone else he would have spent a year with it instead of me. But because the artist I know they said there were a couple artists that couldn't come over because they were coming from England or somewhere, and they couldn't come over because of COVID.
Wow.
The shutdown. So maybe that all worked out for me. I mean, in my past, it has worked out that when it's kind of a tough time for everybody, it kind of I seem to do okay. So I don't know.
And maybe too, you know, you're coming back at the right time, and maybe you know, and the fun thing is maybe you'll have some of the old fans checking out the new album, you know, from that followed you before, and then there's a good portion of people going to be just discovering the Kelly Deco band, which I think is cool, and they know nothing about what came before, and then maybe they'll, oh yeah, you got music from before, Kelly, let's check that out, you know.
Yeah, I've got about I think six LPs records that we're going to probably remaster now. If this moves, then we'll go to that step. But yeah, it's always nice to have a audio work that's waiting, maybe.
Yeah. So here's the next obvious question. Got any plans once the album comes out December 2nd to tour behind it or do any live shows? Is there any talk of that?
Yeah, we have talked of that. It's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Because again, still COVID and working around
everybody's
with
schedule.
the band. But it's definitely things I want to do. And once a person has said, "Yeah, here's what you can do, and here's when," then we'll know the answer to that. But of course, I want to play live, and I want to share with people on the stage the same thing that we did on the record. So,
because I imagine, you know, not having really done anything music-wise since the 90s, I'd imagine when you started writing the record and get in there and recording these songs, it had to be a great kind of feeling of like, you know, a comeback or like, yeah, hey, I miss doing this.
I felt great. I felt nervous and great. And when I heard what Val Duray did, I was shocked. I kept wanting to say, well, this is not me. It's, you know, it's him.
It's your songs, though, right? So, I mean...
And he say, no, it's the song. It's everything, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, of course, it's just a moment of luck. You think, God, this is just great, and how can anyone not be happy with something that went where you wanted it to go and is viable? And again, you know, people don't receive the awards he has received just because coincidence.
Oh, sure.
He works at every moment on all this, everything he works on, for every artist. He works every moment to make it just perfect and work. So it's an exceptional thing that he has the gift to do, and so that was really wonderful for me to hear. Still is, even now. I hear it and I think, oh, that's amazing. I mean, how that all works.
I mean, it's a magic art of collaboration. I mean, it's kind of what
you never know. Yeah, but you just never know until you do it, like you said. And of course, when you know, you get in there and it starts working, and you realize this really could go, and you're thinking, well, okay, well, all right, we'll see. And you just keep doing it. Something it's like it's the air you breathe. You don't think about much else other than that's what you do. It's the air you breathe, so you want to keep breathing, so you do. So really, like you mentioned before, because I hadn't recorded for a while, when I got back in the studio, it felt like I was a fish back into the water.
Oh yeah.
I felt like, oh my God, this is great. This is where I belong.
Yeah, and I imagine the kids and family are all grown up now. So, it's a perfect time to get back into it. You know, it's kind of like I was saying, you kind of think of yourself as Pete Townsend in the sense that you wrote these songs, and then you get this other guy to interpret your songs vocally. It's got to be a great feeling. Wow, I wrote those songs, and this guy's doing a great job of interpreting my songs.
Exactly, and so did Yolannis, the art director on the record. So I really hope that he could get into wherever it is I'm coming from, and he certainly did in the graphics of the record. So really good on him, and we've had that conversation. I was very thankful to have again, and that was through Chipsters.
Yeah, well,
I think he's a friend of Chips.
Yeah, Chip's got a lot of great connections. But final thing, for today is that's another thing you kind of take me back to of all the great records and stuff that came out in the 70s. I remember like going to record stores back in the day, folks. If you can even imagine, that. And I remember like getting, you know, albums like Kiss Alive or Kiss Destroyer, or even Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast for the first time, not knowing anything about the band too much. It's like, man, I don't know what this is, but man, this looks so cool. I have to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly what Johannes did. And it's just who he is. And but the thing is, it had to all work because I was aiming at the place where he lives, and vice versa. It was, you know, it's symbiotic. It was just those things that everyone was going to the same place, and then here's how it looks. So you take a good look at the art. It's great. It's all Johannes, and he's did a great job. And when the record and the album comes out, because there's inside stuff as well. But and he's got T-shirts and all that stuff. So it's really great for him. And I have a thing called No Reality that I did. My 90s it was a battle I had with reality.
Okay.
And it was really great, really popular. So we have those T-shirts that we're going to be giving out to the No Reality T-shirts.
Oh wow!
And a lot of rock guys, including Slash from Guns in Snake Pit, he wears the No Reality T-shirt. You can look that up and see. Yeah, he's wearing a No Reality T-shirt. So
wow.
Yeah. So it's an interesting world.
Well, I'm gonna check out, you know, the No Reality stuff too. Before, and I'll tell you what, Kelly, I'd love to talk to you again once I've had a chance to hear the whole album. Now, as far as doing live shows, do you think most, you know, when you start to do the live shows, do you think mostly it'll be the new album, or are you gonna throw in any of the old hits?
I'll do it all.
Oh, good.
I'll just do it all. Yeah, I'll just make a big show. It'll be like a rock opera thing, you know. That was what we intended to do originally. Was, you know, we were doing more kind of like as much as Springsteen does the social, you know, city rock, and of course opera things. And so, of course, Meatloaf did his fantasy kind of thing. We're doing kind of a little bit of both, but a little more, you know, outside of the normal outer space, more outer space, or into your head stuff too. Pandora's box stuff, you know. From the 60s.
And I know you're a David Bowie fan, so I got to ask: were you ever a fan of the stuff he did, like was Ziggy Stardust?
Yeah, but I go back to all that, of course, and then, you know, you go back into Anthony Newley, where he got all that, you know. So you go back far enough, and then you go back far to Frank Sinatra, who learned to hold the notes longer, and you know, all the things that you everything you learn makes a difference.
Oh, sure.
Because you're learning from people who spent their life learning something, and the thing is, I never felt the freedom to really utilize the things that I liked until the people were gone.
Yeah.
You know, and so, because now, like, you think, well, these people are all gone. What, you know, it's almost like an homage. I should try to do something to show what matters to me.
Well, you know, and another thing that kind of shows our age is, I can speak for myself here. A lot of like our rock heroes that we grew up listening to, a lot of them have passed on, you know, in the last few years, and a lot of them are going to in the next couple of years. So the older you get, and more of these, you know, guys that influenced you pass on, it's like, wow, who's next, you know?
Exactly. So that's why I figure
gotta keep
if they're gone, you better just take a piece of it and carry it with you.
Carry the torch, you know. Okay.
Yeah, and try to share it because you know, that's really what you're doing. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's all connected to what's been done before, all the way back to early blues and, you know, everything, Robert Johnson or wherever you want to connect it to. Everything's connected, and everything is touching the thing before it.
Yeah.
And right now is a great time for 70s rock because there's a lot of people who aren't in it, and there's a lot of room for good 70s rock, and that's hopefully what we're going to find out that with this record.
In fact, and I think when people have a chance to hear your record, it's going to be like, oh man, this is stuff like I grew up on. This is great stuff, and even maybe people weren't around in the 70s, they'll be digging. I mean, as opposed to like, I couldn't imagine Kelly Deco putting out a rap album, and just because, not that you couldn't, but it wouldn't be as heartfelt, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. No, you got to be who you are, and if who you are finds a place before, you know, 100 years passes, then you're lucky. Because you really just have to be who you are. And who I am is this thing, and it's going to be out on December 2nd. The record's called Constellation, and there's some great tracks on it. And I think you'll, when you hear it, call me up. I'll come back on. We'll talk some more.
Okay, yeah, and I think people should. I mean, what a great time for an album like that to come out right around Christmas time. What a great Christmas gift, huh?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Go get it.
Yeah, and you know, to wrap this up for today, I think kind of what proves kind of what we're talking about. You look at a great band like Queen. You know, the great Freddie Mercury is no longer among us, but I think part of the reason Brian and Roger are still able to go out with somebody like Adam Lambert is because those Queen songs mean so much to so many people. They are the soundtrack to our lives. I mean, Queen is one of those bands. They have a song like Somebody to Love, Bohemian Rhapsody. Then you got something like you know, Stone Cold Crazy. I mean, that's probably as metal as they ever got. But those songs, that's why they're able to still go out there, even though it's not Freddie Mercury. People will come and check those songs out because those songs mean something to people.
They do.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. And they're brilliant songs. And you could take each generation, like I said before, you go back with Bowie, you go back to Jimmy Webb, Nora Nero. You could pick great writers way all the way back as far as you can go, and all those people touch people, and they're always going to, and that's why that might be why there's so many tribute bands, because people love feeling that way when they hear those songs, you know, brought back in front of them for a night.
I like to call it rock and roll theater. Have you ever been to see a tribute band live?
I have. The drummer I work with plays in 3 tribute bands. He works with us. He does the Stones, the Beatles, and the Who. So it makes him really a good drummer, and I'm a really big fan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a musician, it's a great way to you know, keep your chops up. But I think as a fan, I've dug going to see many tribute shows myself for that very reason. I remember the first time I ever saw this Los Angeles-based Guns N' Roses tribute, and they dress the part. The guy dresses up like Slash, the singer dresses up like Axl. I mean, he looks and sounds like Axl from 1987. It reminds me of the very first time I heard Welcome to the Jungle on the radio, you know? They're just that good. And I think that's part of the appeal of a tribute band, that, you know, they're recapturing like a memory.
And it's rock. It is the real thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's not the original band, but it is still the same. It is the rock, and you get to feel it performed live. So
and let's be honest, going to see a Guns N' Roses tribute is a lot cheaper than when the real band comes down and you have to pay $500, you know, to see them.
No, you're right. Yeah. Absolutely right. I have a whole story about working with the drummer, bassist Duff, and also a story with Slash and the T-shirts. So,
cool.
Yeah, they're a great band. Really nice people. I was with. Well, there's a long story, but it was when they first had their big record out.
Maybe you can save it for the next time that we do this, because I definitely want to talk to you again, Kelly, once I hear the entire album. And you see that I could talk to. I love talking to people about music. I could do it for hours, but I'll let you go. And like I said, the interview will be going up in about a week and a half. I'll let you know once it is up. Thank you so much for taking time to do this. It was a great getting to know you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And keep it going, right?
Yeah.
Stay rocking.
You too, buddy. And anytime you got a new single you're dropping or anything, I'd love to talk to you. So we'll keep in touch.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Chaotic Riff Magazine.